validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I am your host, Sander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Today's show is going to be a very interesting show because we are back on those relationship topics that we typically know and love and we talk about on a regular basis. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that, and wanted to make sure that I put in a few special shout outs because we want to say happy holidays to all of y'all that are enjoying those holidays. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Join a membership. For those of you that are following us on Twitch, make sure that you hit that follow button. The rest of you that is following us on Twitter, make sure that you also hit that follow button, and then also hit that like button quite a few thousand times. Mash that little heart button that you see on your phone there while you're watching this today. Show us some support on the podcast. And if you got the opportunity to, you like what we're talking about on the show, make sure that you throw us a little special thing, special gift, special emoji. Any comments that you guys throw down with the donations attached to it, we prioritize those as long as they're appropriate. So make sure that you take a look out for some of that in the comment section and give us a little something that shows us that you really appreciate time and effort that we put into making sure that the podcast is what it is for you guys, better than what it could have been before. because we're always updating and upgrading and moving things up for you guys. So I want to make sure that we take a little step aside and talk about that real quick. But as you see, we've got the link in the comment section right now. So for those of you that want to dive in real time, I'll see you guys in the green room. If you're over the age of 18, I bring you on. If you are not over the age of 18, unfortunately, I can't bring you on. So I got to make sure that you are an adult. I know I got a couple guys that like to dive in and do that little funny way of saying what's up by jumping in and, putting a little cell phone image in front of the thing and stuff like that. So for those of you that like to come in and give you a little shout out, I see you in the green room. I'll verbally recognize that I see you there. But if you're not over the age of 18, I can't bring you onto the show. Now, you also have to keep things positive in the comment section and while you're on the live stream, even if we don't agree. I value what you have to say. It's an open mic, open-minded, open forum show. So make sure that your comments stay remotely appropriate, even if we do not agree with one another. So, short stories already through. Let's go ahead and take a look into the challenge that we have of transforming the dating game that we have for ourselves in 2024. For those of us creeping into 2025, trying to find ourselves a partner, this is a very volatile game for us to find a partner in. And as we dive into this topic of attracting the right girlfriend as a man over 30, I can tell you that it is crucial to acknowledge the modern dating dynamics we have that has changed. And we need to make sure that we adapt to this, because it is time to let go of the outdated beliefs and approaches that might have worked in the past, but are no longer effective today. Now, there's a lot of things that we got going on right now that we got to touch base on before we start trying to dig deep into the concept of trying to find an appropriate partner for us. Because I've been talking to you guys about this for a long period of time, about standing on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, about making sure that you value yourself as well as valuing your partner. You're not necessarily from a selfish standpoint putting yourself first, but you do have to make sure that you recognize if your needs are not being met. I understand that people have wants and desires on top of their needs, but with all due respect, you have to make sure that your needs are met before you start setting expectations for your personal desires, because we do have unrealistic expectations in some scenarios, and those unrealistic expectations can sour our positions as men looking for a partner. And also women, the unrealistic expectations will sour your expectations as well, because if you're looking for a partner and your expectations are high, and 70 to 80% of the men do not meet those expectations, then your statistics are too high. You're setting the bar way too high. The golfing term par means average, means that, like, on a good day, this is what you're supposed to be looking to get. That it should be where you're setting your standards. Now, that does not mean that you need to try to find somebody more beneath you than your own personal needs. But truth be told, women's expectations to date up already put them in an unrealistic scenario, because they can't find a person that is equal to them when they believe that equal is above their standard. Because then if they're aiming for above their standard, they're aiming for somebody that is above equal, that is far above equal. So if 50-50 is supposed to be considered equal for the normal man, 60-40 or 70-30 is supposed to be equal for the average woman's expectations, which then means that 80-20 is going to be what they're aiming for. And in that scenario, you're going to find very few men that are going to be on that realm where he's going to be putting in most of, if not everything, into the relationship. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the expectations of how much does he have to do for her versus how much does she have to do for him. Now, this isn't even on a monetary scale, because symbiosis is when a man does certain things for a woman that may be from a financial approach, where women will do certain things for a man that'll be from a physical and effort-based approach, emotional approach. And those things would validate the man and give the man the substance that he needs and the financial substance that she needs, where both people are still ideally being taken care of in the same relationship, even if the man is the breadwinner in that relationship. And if we switch those roles, where we have those alpha boss ladies that are self-sufficient, the self-sufficient ones, not the independent ones, because the independent ones are terrible for relationships, but a self-sufficient one that's able to hold it down until the man that she selects is able to take it over. Either she would lead the way until he's able to lead, or he would lead when she uh lets him lead or whatever. But when he can't do it, instead of her making him feel bad about what he can't do, she just goes ahead and gets it done, and appreciates and values the fact that he tried. Even in those relationships where the woman is ideally the breadwinner, those relationships are still able to be successful, because what he isn't able to do for the relationship, she's able to do, and what she doesn't have time to do in a relationship, he is going to put the efforts into doing, because the roles are reversed, where she might be playing more of the masculine roles and he might be playing more of the feminine roles. But the fact is that um, she's not going to overpower him and dominate him and belittle him in that relationship. So you have to make sure that getting into these relationships, that you guys are really looking for what you really want to get out of the relationship. So one of the biggest challenges men over 30 face in the dating world is going to be confidence. We're not as good at looking as we was when we were younger. And if we already had an issue with our looks when we were younger, we have even more issues with our looks when we were older. We're going to gain more weight. We're going to lose more shape. We're going to go from being physically fit, if we were physically fit, to having a bit of a beer belly. And if we had a bit of a beer belly before, now we've got a massive one now. We just got to accept the fact that no matter what we do in life, we sometimes let ourselves go, and we're not our best self. Whatever our best self would have been in our 20s, we're not our best self over 30. And when we start getting into the 40s, we start recognizing the aging patterns, even if they're ever so slow, the ever occasional gray hair that we find here and there. It starts becoming more frequent. The hair loss that's hereditary, it starts becoming more frequent. We're going to start looking at a lot more things that we have to just really recognize that that's who we are at our current age, and we have to be able to approach the dating world with confidence. So as we age, we tend to lose our self-assurance. So this sense of self-assurance is going to impact our ability to connect with potential partners, because we don't believe that we are attractive anymore, if we were ever attractive at all. It's essential to recognize confidence comes from within and is a result of our inner growth and self-awareness. Now, I understand that this is going to be one of those issues that are going to negatively impact a large majority of men that are still dealing with financial struggles, because we have been taught throughout our lives that we are only valued and validated as men when we are financially capable of taking care of ourselves and financially taking care of our partner, as well as any potential children that are added to the fold. We also recognize that if we have children from past relationships, because not every man is childless, we also have the understanding that we could potentially have to deal with financial obligations such as alimony and child support, and still not have accessibility to our children, and still have to deal with battling with that in the courtrooms, while trying to find ourselves a significant other going forward, where we have to recognize that we are still valuable to somebody else, even if we're going through some struggles. So these are the issues that we have to recognize, that the same way women claim that they want men to accept them for who they are, but never come original. The fact is that that same expectation is supposed to be universal, where the women are going to accept the man for who he is at this point, with whatever baggage that he's got coming with him, whether he has alimony or child support or legal battles or whatever going on with his family, trying to keep his family together and being informed in his child's life while trying to live his own life. And then any other struggles, because those of us that find ourselves in our 30s find ourselves sometimes with the financial burden of taking care of other family members. We have siblings that need attention. We sometimes have elderly parents that need attention, and we have to incorporate the fact that so those of us that live with our parents, not because we can't afford to live on our own, but because our parents can't afford to live on their own. Our parents may not be able to afford to take care of themselves, and we may prevent from putting our parents into a foster home or a nursing home or something to that effect, we may decide to take care of our parents, or uh, minimalistically provide them with subsidies where those parents are, reasonably taken care of by the kids, where those parents then are known to not be in some type of scenario where they're completely unhappy. Now, we understand that if we're living with a family member over the age of 30, where the in those situations where the child is the breadwinner and the parent is the dependent, that you have to understand that you are not in a useless scenario where you're deemed unworthy because you still stay with a parent. Now, keep in mind, if you're one of those kids that are still living with your parents and the parents are the breadwinners and you're less than 1/3 of the income, then yeah, you probably are going to have a little bit more of an emotional distress to deal with, because you wouldn't be able to take care of the situation by yourself. Which again, as a man, you would feel like you're not able to take care of another person in a relationship, because if you need your parents to take care of you as an adult, then you're not going to be able to take care of your partner as an adult male. Now, ladies don't have to worry about this. Ladies just have to remember that the less kids that you have and the lower the body count that you have, the more desirable you are for a man. So we have these dynamics where uh, we would be able to piece together a much larger uh, quantity of understanding if we recognize our own true worth. Now, another obstacle men over 30 encounter is social expectations. And we're often led to believe that we should have our lives figured out. And that's not going to happen, because we don't even realize how bad off our life really is until after we finish whatever we were trying to do, whether it was going to college, maintaining a stable job, whatever the case may be, the fallout from the most recent catastrophic relationship, and putting those pieces back together. If there was a divorce, if we were living together for a long period of time and then she had left or I had left or whatever the case may be, if those situations are coming about, you still have to deal with the fact that even in your 30s and 40s, you're still picking up the pieces. If you cohabitated with somebody for 5 out of the first 10 years of your adulthood, and now you guys have to part ways, you're leaving a lot of stuff behind. You don't have a lot of the things that you probably would have had you been on your own. So you have to understand that you're not going to have it all figured out, you know, and you're not going to always be 100% successful. You might still be ascribing to be successful. You just have to find another way to get to success. And then they expect you to have a certain status. And socially speaking, that social certain statuses that we're not going to have is because those of us might find jobs in blue collar work. Blue collar work is stable for the most part. But the fact is that even though blue collar work might be stable, blue collar work isn't always prestigious. You can get you a management job in a fast food restaurant and make you almost $100,000 a year. But because you're working as a fast food restaurant manager, and that is usually considered a low prestige job, because dropouts get that job to make an income. The fact is that restaurant work and warehouse work is not very prestigious jobs. So some women might look down on that. And once the women start finding value in the fact that the man has a stable paycheck coming in, and he might have been maintaining his job for the last 5 or 10 years, and that is something to admire. The fact is that until that happens, you have to understand that the status doesn't come with the career, but the career does come with an income that maintains whatever standard of living that you have. And when you're looking for a partner, you need to find one that is not so shallow that they're not going to validate the fact that you have a stable income, and instead they will more devalue your inability to have a doctor, lawyer, nurse job, where doctors, lawyers, and nurses might be making some good money depending on if you're a doctor or a lawyer and how many patients you see. But the prestige around that versus the amount of money that you pay on malpractice doesn't change anything. It's just a simple fact that and then your availability is not going to be as high because you got to grind in order to make the quantity of capital that comes with the prestige of that particular type of employment. So we've got to take that into consideration as well. It is not always about something that just you know, slaps this era of, politician, congressman, whatever. It's the fact that the average American is working for somebody in a company somewhere where that company may or may not have the prestige you want it to have, but it pays your bills. So you just got to understand that your status isn't always going to be there. But the truth is, the expectations can be overwhelming and it makes us feel like we're not enough, but we, in fact, are more than enough. It is time to break free from these constraints and focus on what truly matters. In addition, the dating landscape has changed dramatically, especially with the protesting about the contraceptives from the more often than not, uh, uh, the mentality of the ones that are protesting are more often than not the ones for the streets. Because let's be honest with you, uh, if you're not overly active in your sex life, you're not likely to end up pregnant. And if you're in a long term relationship where you're expecting yourself to be in this long term relationship for a long term, the ability to produce children in those particular types of relationships and the constructs of marriage and devotion for extended periods of time with no sign of end would lead to no necessary need for immediate contraceptives or abortions or anything to that effect. So those individuals that are really complaining truthfully about the lack of access to contraceptives and the lack of access to birth control outside of direct health relation, like, oh, if you give birth, your life will end literally, like you will pass away on the birth table kind of situation. Outside of that, there is no other scenario in a healthy relationship now. So keep in mind that we're not talking about if you got ambushed in a dark alley somewhere. We're talking about the person you committed to is the father kind of situation. There's no situation where you actually need contraceptives. But those women that are playing the field, they're making mistakes, they're getting drunk, they're doing things that they regret in the morning, and they initiated that, and now all of a sudden they've got children as a result of their actions, like that child that was having relations with the entire football field in or the football team in the high school bathroom. Like, if she ends up pregnant out of that, that's like 7 seasons of Murray. But for her to run out there and get an abortion or something like that because of her irresponsible decisions, that's not what that was for. And that mentality is going to be the type of mentality that's going to make the dating game hard, because those women that are protesting the decisions that the U.S. government has made with being responsible for yourself, first person accountability, you have to understand that the dating game is going to be a lot more aggressive, where we're going to have a lot more women that are shutting down on men just for the principle of shutting down on men, where we have to understand that there are more women than men in the United States, and there are seriously more female voters of age than there are male voters of age in the United States. And the president of the United States won by more than 60% vote, which means that all of the men and most of the women voted for if not, you see what I'm saying? Because if 50% of the 49.5, I do believe, percent of the population is men, the men won by 60 something percent. So if you say that the quantity of voters that voted for him was evenly distributed between men and women, then what you're saying is that 2/3 of the women and 2/3 of the men voted for this guy when this guy said that he was going to do this. So those women that are protesting the US government by mistreating their boyfriends and their husbands right now, you have to think about the fact that women voted for him knowing that that's what he was going to do. He said that he was going to attack the LGBTQ community, and the fact is that that was part of his campaign. And after he said that, you still voted for him. So if you're part of the LGBTQ community, the stuff that he just said about only acknowledging two genders, he said he was going to put a stop to that stuff during his campaign. So why did you vote for him? You see what I'm saying? Anybody who can't access OnlyFans coming soon, he said he was going to put a stop to that. So Why did you vote for? If that's what you do on a daily basis, why did you vote for him? So now that you got what you asked for, now the ladies are treating the men incorrectly because they want to have the ability to make bad choices and still have the freedom of disposing of the consequences of their actions without having to succumb to those actions. So instead of having to carry the child for 9 months and be off the market for 9 months to give birth to a child, and then be off the market for 3 to 6 more months after you gave birth to the child, even if you gave the child up for adoption, the fact is, to keep from even having to suffer from that, which is a consequence of bad decision making, they want to be able to dispose of it before it ever negatively impacts their body shape. Even though it was a bad decision that they made, that now negatively impacts the fetus and then negatively impacts a father that would want the child. The fact is that they don't want to come off the shelf. They don't want to be benched for a year because of their bad mistakes. They want to be able to keep making those bad mistakes and disposing of their actions, the consequences of their actions. And because they can't, they're mistreating the men. We have to understand that this is a big dynamic change. Now, yeah, I spent like 5 minutes just talking about how that one scenario sucks. We also have to think about the fact that because women are just as sexually active as men, if not more sexually active than men, the majority of women have a child before the age of 20. A lot of them have 2 to 3 children before the age of 30. If we're looking at women in their 30s, a lot of them have 3 to 5 children from multiple different men, if not more, and most of those children are grown. So we're not going to find a single woman without children as easily. So we have to remember that that dynamic has changed. Women are more financially successful, and since women are more financially successful, they're going to be capable of fulfilling some of the contributions of making a relationship successful. It's not all on just the man. It's not just the man's responsibility to see this entire thing become successful, where the woman is just on autopilot. So you have to remember that no matter how much you have, she has to show that she wants to be in this, and she has to invest. It's called earnest, whether it's earnest money, earnest time, earnest effort. She has to put up as much as you're putting up, effort wise, to see this relationship successful. And if you're not seeing that, we have modern day ghosting abilities. If you're not seeing the upfront behavior of somebody who wants to see this relationship successful, then you've got to let her go. So the rise of online dating, social media, and apps has transformed the way we meet people and interact with each other. And this can both be exciting and intimidating, but it's crucial to understand how to navigate these platforms effectively. The biggest mistake men over 30 is trying to fit into societal norms or conform to the way they think women want. And this approach not only leads to disappointment, but also takes a toll on our mental and emotional well being. It's essential to focus on becoming the best version of ourselves and letting our authenticity shine throughout everything that we got going on. So, how can men over 30 enhance their dating lives? Well, I could go down a laundry list of them, but firstly, it's essential to focus on self-improvement. And that's what we've been doing on this podcast for a long majority of time, is focus on self-improvement. I talk about ways on a daily basis, on a weekly and monthly basis, about how to make ourselves financially successful. Financial literacy is one of the most important ways to be appealing to anybody, much less the opposite sex. But then, in addition to that, outside of financial success, self improvement, fixing some of the mistakes of your past, regrouping yourself from your last most devastating relationship, being able to emotionally heal from the trauma that you went through, being able to psychologically recover from the torture that you've went through in past engagements, being able to reduce the fear of repetitive experience and self-sabotaging behavior before you get into a new relationship. Self-improvement is the key to being more successful going forward. So this means working on our physical, mental, and emotional health. When we take care of ourselves, we exude confidence and become more attractive to others. And secondly, expanding our social circles can lead to new opportunities and connections. This can be achieved by joining clubs, attending events, or taking classes that align with our interests. And when we talk about joining clubs, that doesn't mean attend a nightclub. Joining a club means joining a social activity that is hosted by an individual that has like minded interests and hobbies. So when we say join a club, we're talking about a hobby based club. So whether it's the chess club, dart club, train club, knitting club, book club, dance club, bingo club, whatever kind of a bowling league, that's a club, a baseball, football, the guys that do gym, hiking, track, camping, mountain climbing, but that's dangerous. You gotta find somebody that likes to find a group of people that like the same things that you do, and then do that with them. That way you're not doing the stuff by yourself, which also allows you to bond, make new friends, and some of those new friends over an extended period of time, if y'all just existing in the same place, enjoying the same hobbies together, you might find somebody that you're more attractive to on a deeper level, where instead of simply just trying to hook up with this person at the grocery store, the gas station, a traffic light, or the nightclub, and hoping that you can convince them to give you your contact information so that you can try to link up with them over the next couple of weeks and spend enough money on them to convince them to see you another time by the end of the month, where you can turn that into more frequent engagements. You actually are guaranteed to see each other, which is what we've identified as social societal friends or locational friends, where you meet them in that situation and you do whatever it is that you do in that situation until you and this person agree that you guys are going to take your friendship beyond this particular location and start meeting each other in more places. For example, if you've got dogs and you walk your dogs on a regular basis, and you decide to take your dog to dog parks, you decide to take your dog on hiking trails and stuff like that, and you meet somebody who also does the same thing. You've got dogs and she's got dogs too. If y'all's dogs get along with one another, y'all can meet up every month or every week, every few weeks, and take the dogs out and have play dates with the animals, which allows you guys to be able to hang out and get to know each other and spend more time talking to each other, so that you guys are able to build up the type of rapport to lead to a first date. If you guys are dedicating an hour to hanging out with each other at the dog park, where your dogs are getting exercise, you're able to expand your engagements with each other without having to spend thousands of dollars. You might meet up this week for just hanging out with the dogs, and then next week, one of you might bring coffee, and the next week, somebody might bring food and coffee. Then you might go places that are animal friendly and build up on it. You have to find groups of people that are more into what you're into, so that out of those types of people, you'll be able to find somebody that you're interested in, that's interested in the same things that you're interested in. But you're not looking for a mirror image of yourself, you're just looking for some commonalities. So take time to understand your own desires and what you're looking for in a partner. Knowing what you want can help you avoid wasting time on incompatible matches. Now, ladies, I'm going to tell you this next one right here. This one is going to be for you more than it is for men, but men, we have to recognize this as well. Setting realistic expectations. We have to recognize that dating in your 30s may bring different challenges than dating in your 20s, such as increased emotional baggage and different life goals among potential partners. We have to remember that when we were in our 20s, getting it in might have been the main focus. And the people that you were hooking up with didn't have a lot of emotional baggage. But because they're getting more miles than men are getting, they're experiencing more emotional devastation than men are getting. And a lot of them are going to start becoming more emotionally dead because they have a lot of trauma bouncing from relationship to relationship with no recovery phase in between. There's no rebuilding. You're having fights in a nightclub every week, but you're not rebuilding a nightclub after they done tore the club down. So the fact is that you have to remember that uh, the older that you get, the older that she's going to get, and the older that she gets, the more baggage that she has. Yeah, Men have baggage, but men carry emotional baggage different than women. Men carry emotional baggage by striving to be more successful. Women carry emotional baggage by projecting past traumas onto men. Now, I'm not going to say that men don't project the way women project. I'm going to say that men don't do it that often. A man might project the fact that he was overused financially. So he might project that by having the next relationship not take up so much of his financial resources. You might have one relationship where a man felt like he didn't put enough effort into his relationship time wise, and the next relationship the man might put in too much time. Then the next relationship he might put in a little less time. There's the changes that you see in a man's behavior is to try to adapt to the mistakes that he made in the past. But a woman's traumas, if she's been cheated on, she's tracking your phone, she's checking the cameras, she's calling you randomly and you better answer the phone. These types of responses are things that would negatively impact the success of the future of your relationship, unless you have an emotionally damaged person getting into a relationship with another emotionally damaged person, where the man is trying to prove his loyalty by succumbing to this trauma. And that's really what it is. It's a level of trauma projected from past relationships where she may have been involved with somebody that was unfaithful. She may have been involved with somebody that was abusive, and her behavior towards you is a reflection of past trauma. And then your behavior from abandonment, because women leave men more often than men leave women. The trauma from the man not wanting to be left alone by the woman, he will prove his loyalty to the woman by meeting all of her expectations of trauma, and that's just further traumatizing the entire relationship, instead of both of those people taking a time out and trying to fix the past traumas and cope with them, because you can't really get over them. You got to cope with them and be able to enter the next relationship without all of that negative baggage holding back logical thinking. So you have to understand that the older that you get and the older that your partner gets, the more stuff that they've got to deal with, and the more stuff that you've got to deal with while you're dealing with them, because their problems become your problems. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of women want a man that's got his stuff together, because she's already got a lot of financial problems. She doesn't want to take on a man that has financial problems, because then they're both going to have financial problems. But you got to remember, most of us are broke. The people are fighting for minimum wage in California to be $30 an hour. Now, if you're in Florida and you understand that y'all just barely got $15 an hour, and if you're getting $18 an hour, you feel like you're doing something. They got people in Florida making $13 an hour right now, and they feel like they accomplished something. But they got $3 raise over the past year and a half, and now they're making $13 an hour. And you got to realize that at $13 an hour, you went from nothing to something at $13 an hour, when living wage in Florida is $25 an hour and living wage in California is about $45 or $50 an hour. So really, struggling with your partner until y'all decide to make yourselves financially stable by pooling y'all money together and investing in stocks and bonds, real estate, Bitcoin, gold, silver, oil, and solar, technology, other countries. Until y'all start investing, y'all not gonna have enough money to rob Peter to pay Paul. Y'all just gonna really have to go through the motions of living from check to check and try to consolidate your expenses so that you're living below 80% of your means. But even if y'all struggle and y'all realize that if you're living at, you as a man are living at a $50,000 income at a $40,000 lifestyle, and you as a woman that is living a $50,000 a year income with a $40,000 a year lifestyle, or say a $45,000 a year lifestyle, because women have to buy stuff to make themselves look pretty. Fact is that between the two of you, y'all are making $100,000 a year at an $85,000 a year lifestyle. And when you realize that some of that stuff you're going to be combining resources where you would actually be paying a little bit less, you might save $15,000 or $20,000 on coming together, which also means that your $40,000 expense is now $20,000 of expense, which means that your combined living expense might be a grand total of about $55,000 or $60,000 between the two of you together, where you're still bringing in $100,000 between the two of you. Which, if you remember, that living comfortable's national average right now is about $70,000 a year. If you're living $60,000 a year, that might be a low income environment. But if you're living $60,000 a year with a $50,000 income from each of you, then you're still living at 50% of your means if you guys work together. And then if you took the rest of that money and put it into investments, where you now have a third income, because you've got his income, her income, and the dividends received from investments income, then you're in a position where your relationship will have less stress in it, because you guys will have more money coming back to y'all to take care of the stuff that y'all need. When y'all invest enough money into stocks and bonds and real estate and Bitcoin, you end up having enough money coming back to where you guys will be able to take that money and pay all your bills with the dividends received from the stocks. And then you could take all of your money and put it into the stock to continue to raise the stock, where you don't have to deal with not having your bills being paid. And you can always find a stopping point. You don't have to push yourself all the way up to a millionaire. If you invest enough money to where you're making 40,000 a year off of dividends from your investments, and which, what is that, like 200,000, roughly $200,000 worth of stocks, and then you can work and subsidize your income with your investment portfolio, and then you don't have to work as much. Because if he's working, if you're making $20,000 to $30,000 as dividends from the stock, and he's making $50,000 and she's making $50,000, y'all don't got to go into overtime. Y'all can work a regular 30-hour a week day. Y'all can take, that's 3 10-hour nights if you're working night shift, which means you got 4 days off every week, or 4 8-hour days. And then that means you got 3 days off. And if y'all can find a way to spend 2 days with one another, y'all got 2 full days with each other, because you've got money coming in that offsets your expenses so that you don't need as much. So, just finding somebody that can mess with you, where you have to understand that the dynamics have changed. Everybody's hard up. So finding a man that's got it, or finding a woman that doesn't have financial desires, is not likely. But finding a way to mediate between the two, that's something that both of y'all can piece together. Now, another thing that you have is leveraging online dating. That can also be a game changer, because we talked about that before. But in order to leverage it to be a game changer in your favor, you have to create a genuine profile. And ladies, I'm going to tell you right now, when you start talking about you want a generous man, you're not generating the type of profile that is going to attract a man. Because looking for a generous man is saying that you're a gold digger. You're not saying that, but that's what you're saying. When you're claiming that you like to travel, if you don't have a plane ticket out of town every month or every year, where you literally actually do travel all the time, then saying that you like to travel on your profile is really asking. It's subconsciously you're designing this platform to present yourself as a gold digger. Because when you say that you're looking for a man that's going to spend a bunch of money on you and give you the high life and take you all over the world, then really you're saying that you're looking for a sugar daddy. You're looking for a man that's not going to really give you very much responsibility, and you're looking for a man that, in addition to those responsibilities, the lack of responsibility, is going to spend as much money on you as he possibly can to give you the type of unrealistic lifestyle that most men can't afford to give you. Truth is that you need to be looking for somebody that really values you as a person, and you need to be looking for somebody who is willing to grow with you as a person, and you're looking for somebody who is really gonna love and respect your kids if you have any, and is going to prioritize the family success. That's what you're looking for. somebody who's not going to be um, emotionally selfish. You don't care about them being financially selfish. You're looking for a partner that's not going to be emotionally selfish. And by doing so, you will be able to make sure that your basic needs are met, and you'll be able to make sure that they're not ignoring your feelings and your concerns, and they're not ignoring your kids' feelings and not ignoring your kids' concerns. And beyond that point, if you pick the right man, he should by default be generous. He should, by default, if he can afford it, take you on vacations and take you on trips and stuff. But if you cooperate with him, you should be able to find a man with potential, and then y'all should be able to build up an extra wealth, even if all you did was invest in enough stocks where those stocks and bonds and other investment opportunities are just giving you guys enough money to have vacation money on the side where your bills get paid, but you can still leave town once a year or twice a year, or take seasonal vacations or something like that where you don't really have to worry about getting your bills paid. You guys work together on that. So putting in your dating platform that you're looking for a generous man, you're looking for trips around the world, you want to travel, like women are always going to say that they're foodie. Yeah, you like to eat because you're not paying for it. You know, when you say that you like to do things like, taste foods at nice new restaurants, yeah, the gold digger. That's what all that screams. But you're not saying that, you like to cook home meals or stuff like that. Like, you like to try new things, and whether it comes from a restaurant or you sample it off of a recipe offline, like you actually try new foods at least once a month to try to expand your palate. Like, that's not the kind of stuff that you're talking about. You're saying, oh, I like nice food at a new restaurant. Y'all have to understand that being genuine, if you eat burgers and fries on a regular basis, I want to see somebody's profile that says, I like Chick-fil-A. You feel me? I like the fries from McDonald's or whatever. I like the chalupa from Taco Bell or whatever. Be real. You feel me? Because that is going to get you more. But I bet, you know, yeah, I could take her to that nice 5-star restaurant, but I also know that if she like Chick-fil-A, if I pass by a Chick-fil-A, I can buy her favorite little chicken nugget thing with the little watermelon sweet tea kind of thing, and bring it back to her and be like, here, I was thinking about you on the way home, so I stopped and picked this up. And that right there is more golden than steak and lobster. Be for real. If you a Chipotle girl and you got that certain burrito style that you like, and your boyfriend or your husband passed by that Chipotle on the way home on a regular basis, or even if he got a detour to get to the Chipotle, but he can get there before they close, and he's able to pick you up your favorite order from Chipotle on the way back to the house. Like, be real, that's the kind of stuff y'all supposed to have in y'all profile. I like some Chipotle. That way he can grab you some on the way back. You like you some Five Guys or something like that. Be real. And every woman is going to say they want steak and lobster, but that's just gold digger screaming out from a subconscious mind, because you're not eating steak and lobster every day. Let's be honest. You eating steak on a regular basis, you're probably going to be overweight because the body takes a larger period of time to process beef than what it does to process vegetables and fruits and stuff. So let's be honest, and that level of genuineness, the ability to be more authentic in your messages, to literally, instead of, hey, my name is, tell them what you liked about their profile, throw out a couple compliments when you first start that you admired about their profile, and then ask intuitive questions based on what you've observed in their profile. Don't just hit them with the, well, what do you like about a woman? Or what are you looking for in a woman? I'm not trying to give you a play-by-play on what you can pretend to be like so that you can win over my success. The fact is that when you're being genuine on these platforms, you want to know, what is it about you that they actually liked? What about your profile did they like? And then based on that, you will be able to find out what interests them. Because truthfully, you need to find out if you want this person, but you also need to find out what this person wants from you, because it is a one-way street. Your expectations of them is a one-way street. You have to choose if you accept who they are, but also their expectations from you is a one-way street. You have to choose to want to adhere to that. So you need to find out what they're looking for more than you finding out if they meet your expectations. Because if you're not willing to do that, ladies, then you need to be able to say, So for all y'all 4B movement women that want a man that is not gonna uh uh want children, because y'all don't want children, or y'all ain't ready for children, or it's not that time in your life and you're already in your 30s, one step away from menopause, and you're not looking at children, you have to understand that you ladies have to understand that when you're talking to this man in the beginning, he says that he wants more kids, or he wants kids if he doesn't have any. You got to stop that conversation right there, because it would be wrong for him to have to go through a relationship wanting children just because he likes the woman that he has. He has to surrender his dream of being a father, or surrender his dream of expanding his capabilities of being a father. And it's also not supposed to be your obligation, if you don't want to be a mother, to be forced to do so. So that means that if you're not willing to have kids, or that you're not interested in kids right now, but he is interested in kids, that is a deal breaker, honestly. And when you ignore, that's the kind of red flags that you're looking for. You're not looking for a crazy person and say, oh, I don't want to date him, he's crazy. That's normal. What you're looking for is those deal breakers, because if he wants to be a father and you date for 2 years, he's going to want you to have his kids. You're not going to want to have his kids in 2 years. You can't say, oh, well, we'll see. But 5 years from now, you're still not ready for children. You have to understand that if you're not ready for children, you need to be dating a man right now that is not ready for children. Now, if you change your mind along the way, you can talk to him about it. But if you're not interested on your way into this relationship, you should not be dating somebody that's already ready to have kids in a relationship. So be genuine on your profiles. That's the kind of stuff you need to be talking about if you have children, and if you're interested in having more children. And if you're not interested in having more children, they can pass on your profile, because y'all's first conversation should not be, let's go meet up and hook up and this, that, and a third. And then 3 months into a relationship, you're saying, I don't want kids, but it's in his profile that he wants more children. So y'all need to put those deal breakers up there on the table first. You got women that are taking photos with tattoos. If a man don't want a woman with tattoos, he's not going to date her. So, put your best self forward, but put them deal breakers up there on the table. Taking the time to get to know someone is going to increase your chances of finding a meaningful connection. And moreover, it's essential to focus on present moments, not getting too caught up in the idea of finding the one. You have to remember that by enjoying the process of learning from each other's experiences, we become more resilient and better equipped to handle the ups and downs of dating. Many men tend to rush into relationships due to the fear of being single, instead of focusing on enjoying the process of getting to know the one person. We have to understand that this approach can foster a strong connection and reduce pressure on both parties. Some people are afraid of commitment, and you're going to find that if you rush them into a relationship and rush them into commitment and then rush them into the ability to dedicate themselves to you, dedicate their entire livelihood to you, you're going to find that you're going to have less of an opportunity for success, and you're going to have to find yourself starting over a lot sooner. So you want to take the time to get to know them. You want to take the time and move slow with them and try to build things up with them and not really rush things. Also, remember that effective communication is crucial. I've told you this on the show plenty of times that effective communication is crucial. And discussing your feelings and expectations and any concerns openly with your partner in the beginning. When you start your relationship where you're talking to individuals about those non-negotiable expectations for behavior, you are letting people know what you will and will not tolerate. You are letting people know what you like and what you don't like. You are making sure that they understand what makes you mad so that they don't do that, what makes you happy so that they try to do that, and what they would prefer to experience in a relationship with you versus what you would prefer to experience with a relationship with them. You have to understand that you are going to find individuals that are not going to mesh well with your non-negotiable expectations for behavior. If you understand that, then you also understand that you can pull out of this relationship early before you get too emotionally invested or too overly invested in financially into the relationship and cut your losses quicker. But the thing is that if you're looking for long-term engagement, if you come out of the box being genuine and you come out of the box being serious about your shit, then you're going to be able to talk to these people who are going to respect who you are from the beginning, because you're going to tell them what you will and will not tolerate. There are flexibilities in that where you will be able to allow certain things that they want done, but there's certain ways that you don't want to be treated from both the male and female perspective, where you're going to be able to put your foot down and say this cannot happen, and the other person respects you for that. Okay. So if there are insignificant differences, you guys don't worry about that. But there are significant differences in life goals or expectations, such as I said before, family planning or career aspirations. And you have to address these topics early on to avoid misunderstandings. You don't want to be in a situation where she's trying to chase her career with being a CEO and she's not dedicated to the relationship because she's trying to chase her career. And likewise, if she is trying to chase her career and you are going to try to support that, she needs to be able to make sure that she can prioritize the fact that you do want someone that is going to be there when he gets off from work. So she needs to find a way to promote her career and promote her relationship the same way he needs to try to promote his career and promote his relationship. Time management. And if you guys don't have very good time management, especially if your job is going to give you uh, uh, a long distance relationship opportunity where you'll expand in the company, but your relationship will die, that's something that you guys got to start really considering. Think about this. This has always been a good question on dating platforms. Are you willing to relocate? If you are chasing your career, ladies, and you want the man to be supportive of you chasing your career, will you move him to your relocated career choice so that your relationship can stay together and not have to be long distance? Will you be able to financially support his ability to have to start over so that you can chase your dream? Because when a man is trying to be successful and a woman is going to follow his lead in those scenarios, if he relocates for his job, she relocates with him. So if a man is going to support your dream, are you going to relocate him with you? Are you going to talk to your boss to make sure that if you're in on the East Coast and you have a job opportunity on the West Coast that gives you a $20,000 or $30,000 a year income, are you going to take your husband with you or take your boyfriend with you, or are you going to try to balance that long distance relationship? Then on the flip side, are you dating somebody where if you told them, "Hey, I got a promotion, but it's going to move us to Alaska," is your partner willing to move? I got a job opportunity, but it's going to move me to Canada. Is your partner willing to move? If your opportunities in life are going to cause you to have to relocate and the person that you're dating is fixated with the current city and state that they're living in, you have to recognize that the limitations of your expansion and your own individuality is going to stop with staying with this relationship, or your relationship is going to stop when your career choice takes you outside of that neighborhood. These are the things that you have to talk to your husband about, ladies, your boyfriends about. And these are the things that the fellas have to talk to the women about before you guys get too deep into the relationship. Because if something happens where you got to go, your partner is supposed to be willing to come with you. Because if they're not, you have to anchor your partner, and then you've got to go off and try to live the long distance relationship situation that doesn't work unless you're okay with affairs happening. If you want that exclusiveness, you're looking at being everything that your partner needs. If you're okay with an open relationship, then you can be whatever your partner needs while you're in town. And then if your relationship is entertained by somebody else while you're out of town because you're focusing on your career, that's going to be the only way your relationship is going to be successful. Because if not, as soon as you come back and find out that your partner spent more time with somebody else than they spent with you in the same romantic atmosphere that they were supposed to be with you, that relationship is dead. So you have to make sure that you guys communicate clearly in the beginning. Now, the most impactful tip or insight that could transform our dating approach in our 30s and above is the importance of authenticity and self-awareness. So when we're truly ourselves and understand what we want, we attract people who resonate with our values and personalities. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, ladies. This means that a lot more times you're going to have to wear less makeup, wear your natural hair, stop putting on the artificial stuff that it might make you more attractive for the guys that are looking for sex. But when you're looking for a long-term companion, you're going to come out of that wig. So why wear it? You're not going to have that makeup on when you come out of the shower. So why wear it? You're not going to have that girded belt or that waist trainer on when you go to bed at night, and you're not going to be wearing it when you get up in the morning. So why wear it? Stop wearing skin tight clothes, advertising all of your assets where an individual is going to look at you and imagine having sex with you. You want to instead, dress conservative so that they want you for your capabilities and your mindset, and your intellect. Since you're going to college to be smart, you're chasing a career to be financially successful. You want to be respected and appreciated for what you've done and what you know, not how much you put out. So stop carrying yourself as if you're only as valuable as the amount of putting out that you do, because you will only attract the type of men that are looking for a woman that puts out based on the way you dress. Because again, men don't care about a woman's finance and could care less about a woman's education. Yeah, she's supposed to have enough knowledge on her plate for us to have an intellectual conversation to some magnitude, but she doesn't have to be a rocket scientist. She doesn't have to have a bachelor's degree to be in a relationship. She doesn't have to have a Fortune 500 company to be in a relationship. Now, he may have to have all that stuff to be chosen by the woman, but that is not the criteria of a man. The man is looking for a partner, a helper. The man is looking for somebody who's going to cooperate with the success of the team, which has nothing to do with her being smart enough to handle what's going on. Yeah, you got to know how to use a microwave. Yeah, you got to know how to hit a light switch. You got to have some basic knowledge. But I mean, whether or not you graduated high school doesn't make you a good wife. Whether or not you work for Morgan and Morgan or Culpepper and Curler doesn't necessarily make you a good wife. You don't have to be a female judge to be considered a good wife. You could be a secretary at a mechanic shop and still be a good wife. You, you could be a records keeper in a nursing home and still be a good wife. So you got to realize that the standard that you set for yourself as ladies that claim that you are qualified to be a wife, your qualification is your attitude and your ability to cooperate with your boyfriend in order to become a wife. Because outside of that, like, men aren't looking for nothing else. So he's marrying you because you make him better is what he's supposed to be doing, not because you pay the bills. Men don't marry women because they pay the bills. The men are supposed to voluntarily pay those bills. So because of that, you got to make sure that you have your priorities in order. So this is not about pretending to be someone that we're not, or trying to fit into a certain mold, because you got to understand that pretending that you're something that you're not, you're going to have to take that hair out at some point. You're going to have to come off of them 6-inch stilettos at some point. You're going to have to show your real 5'1" height at some point. You understand? So If you were your true self and put some flats on and go out there and just love being short, then you'll find you a man that's taller than you. He doesn't have to be 6 feet tall. He could be 5'8". He could be 5'7". If you're 4'11" or 5'2", he could be 5'6", and you should be good with that because he's still taller than you. You still got to look up at him, but you don't have to look up at his belly button, though. Let's be real. There's certain realistic expectations that we have to find. So you want to be unapologetically yourself. That is the key point. So many men over 30 may feel discouraged by past dating failures. And I want you guys to understand that maintaining positive outlook can enhance your dating experience and attract like-minded individuals. So you want to view each date as an opportunity for personal growth rather than pressure-filled events. And this mindset can help alleviate anxiety about dating outcomes. And since authenticity is the key to building deep connections with others, we want to be honest about our desires and fears and aspirations. And I understand that talking about your fears and talking about your hangups and talking about your shortcomings is putting yourself in a very vulnerable situation for a narcissist to be able to take advantage of that and manipulate you. But you have to realize that in your own confidence, you're not just necessarily talking about the things that you're truly afraid of. You're talking about the shit that you're not going to put up with in this relationship. So when you think about it like that, where you're not just talking about your like, I'm afraid of spiders kind of stuff, you're also talking about some I don't deal with arguments about petty bullshit kind of stuff, where you're saying that, nah, if we're going to negotiate something, we're going to negotiate it, but you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do with my resources the way you would expect me not to tell you what you're going to do with your resources. So we have to understand that mutual respect is mutual respect, but it has to be demanded from the beginning of the relationship, because anything that you allow to happen for 6 months in a relationship, and then you grow the courage to say, I don't like this, the first thing that the other person is going to do, regardless of if it's a man or a woman, the first thing the other person is going to do is say, well, you've never complained about it before, so why are you starting now? And the worst thing that you can do is be the second person to raise a complaint in a relationship, especially when it's something that you did not like from the beginning, but you allowed it to happen for all this time. The second person to raise a complaint in a relationship is going to be considered the retaliator, which means that your non-negotiable expectations are no longer a negotiation or no longer even recognized in a relationship, specifically because you allowed it to happen all this time. You let this go. You didn't say anything about it. And now, because you're the second person to say, hey, I'm not going to put up with X, Y, and Z, they're going to say, oh, well, you're just saying that because I told you to tighten up. So now you're not being respected for who you are and what you expect in your relationship. And you're only going to stay in this relationship until the lack of respect for those expectations overwhelms you to the point where you want out of the relationship. Men are more often than not to settle for less in a relationship because their needs don't have to be met if they're getting sex from the woman in some situations. But the truth is that women are not going to be in a relationship where their expectations are not being met, even if all of their needs are being met. So the fact is that as men, I say that you guys have to stand on your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, because if you're unhappy, she's not going to leave. If she's unhappy, she's going to leave. But if she's not unhappy and you're unhappy, you got to remember that if she's not going to recognize that you're unhappy and do something about it, then you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't care about your happiness. And that means you have to withdraw from that relationship or accept the fact that you will never be happy. And that's when the mentality of happy wife, happy life comes in. Because if she's happy, then you might get sex. But that doesn't mean that you're happy. You're content with your misery because you have a long-term companion that's going to give you consistent sex. It's not going to be regular sex. It's just like you have the same sexual partner for the remainder of your life until you lose interest in sex because you're tired of this person. But at least you're not by yourself. That's not a healthy relationship. So this requires a level of vulnerability and trust, but it doesn't require you to be 100% transparent. And you have to have a willing to take somewhat of a risk. and you have to test your risk tolerance in order to make this happen. But by embracing our authentic selves, we become more attractive, confident, and fulfilled. And the authenticity is a higher level of attraction, and being genuine about who you are and what you're looking for will help you connect with others who appreciate you for your true self rather than the facade, because you can't maintain a facade forever. So being straightforward in your intentions and your actions avoids manipulative tactics that can lead to misunderstandings and mistrust, which is one of the reasons why I tell you guys on a regular basis to stand on your non-negotiable expectations out the first date, because that's the best way to be successful on the date. And that's the best way to be successful in a relationship with repetitive dates going forward. You have to remember the most critical aspects of getting the girlfriend you want is understanding what you want and being true to yourself about what you want. When we focus on our personal growth, expand our social circles, and leverage online dating, we increase our chances of finding a fulfilling relationship in our later years. And women often appreciate men who exhibit confidence and decisiveness. So, the ability to plan dates thoughtfully, showing that you are capable of taking the lead as you refine your social circle and activities, you are able to show that you're not going to hesitate or be in the ability to decline an invitation because of a lack of security. And you're not going to be in situations that uh, doesn't serve your goals or your interests anymore. You will be able to wrap your mind around the fact that this isn't good for me, so I'm not going to do this. This doesn't make sense, so I'm not going to allow it to happen. And as a result, you'll end up in a position where your partner will know if I can't rationalize it where he can rationalize it, he's not going to do it. Which also means that you will end up, even if you didn't have a financially responsible partner in the beginning, fellas, if she knows that she's dating a man that if it doesn't make sense to him, that he's not going to do it, then she knows that she's not going to ask you for anything that does not make sense. Just because she likes it doesn't make it make sense. It just means that she likes it. It just means that she wants it. Now, when you ask, like, say, for example, you want to go to the store and spend $16, but it costs you $14 to get there. If you got a free $16, but it costs you $14 to get there, there's a $2 difference between the amount of money that you've got versus the amount of money that you want to spend. And if you can't rationalize wasting $14 to get free $16, then you can't rationalize making the trip. You got to be able to say, well, I'm not going to benefit from this. The $2 difference is not worth it. Which also means that we're not going to put ourselves in a position where we're not going to be able to make it because we're making impulse decisions that ultimately doesn't benefit. Just like when we talked about investing in those stocks. Let's say you've got an investment portfolio with an 18% return. Does it make sense to take out a loan with a 25% interest rate so that you can get an 18% return? No, because all of your profits is going to your loan, and you still have another 7% of interest that you've got to pay the lender. It only makes sense when you're borrowing money at a 12 or 13% interest rate, where you're profiting from an investment of 18%, where you can still have a 3 to 5% return on the difference between the money that you borrowed, so that once you pay off that loan, your principal is still going to give you an 18% return, where you're essentially not paying off the loan. The loan is being paid off by your stock portfolio. Do you understand the difference between making it make sense for him versus, oh, I want it because I want it? Think about this. Now, it's never too late to find a fulfilling relationship. No matter how old we get, we come to understand that there is always still somebody for somebody. You just got to know where to go. You have to be able to broaden your horizons. You have to be able to find the capability to make it to your partner. So one of the downsides and drawbacks of online dating is that you may not find the person that's right for you in your neighborhood. So then you have to find a way to facilitate inappropriate communication between you and the one that you're trying to talk to. Because if you can't get to them on a regular basis, your relationship is going to start off long distance and strained, which means that you also have to find a way to find balance between that long distance strain and your ability to communicate with one another. We have talked on the show plenty of times about ways that you can facilitate a long distance relationship without exhausting your resources, but that also requires you to think outside of the box. And then that also requires your partner to accept the thought that counts versus the financial effort it took. By adapting to modern dynamics and focusing on self-improvement and being authentic, men over 30 can transform their dating lives, fostering deeper connections while navigating the complexities of modern relationships. If you guys have any tips and tricks about dating, or if you have any concerns that you want to hear about experiences with dating, make sure that you leave that stuff in the comments below. And also make sure that you pay attention to some of the topics that we have coming up soon. A special shout out to Red Void and Omni81 and Liberty Twitcher from Twitch, as well as those of you that are watching us on Twitter. You guys remember that we are teeing off. We was a little bit late today, but that's because I seen some stuff that made me mad on my way. I was like, bruh. So let me tell you real quick before I walk out of here. Let me tell you real quick. So we had ordered some stuff from the Walmart, right? They were supposed to deliver it to us, right? They dropped off everything except the case of water, right? So I'm looking, everything is there except the case of water. And I'm like, bruh. And usually what happens with the Walmart.com app is that if they miss too many things out of your order too often, they start flagging every complaint as a fraud complaint. So then because you didn't get what you were supposed to have, you have two choices. You have to either accept the fact that they're not going to give it to you and just do without it, or you have to contact your bank and dispute the difference in the amount that you paid because they left shit out of your order. And that sucks. So then you have to get there and raise complaints because they're not giving you what they were supposed to give you. And it sucks because then you got to get your bank to challenge the scenario and refund you your money. Sometimes you might find somebody that'll go ahead and process the situation, but more often than not, you have to argue with them, and then after they agree that a refund should happen, but they're not going to give it to you, then you got to contact your bank and say, hey, this reference number says that they recognize and I'm supposed to get compensated for it, but not only are they not going to send me what I ordered, they're not going to reimburse me for it either, and then your bank has to get your money back. And if you got a membership with Walmart, I mean, it kind of sucks that like once a month or once every few months, you got to say, hey, a $7 item on my shit didn't get here. So that kind of slowed me down with getting to the show on time today. And I was debating between sitting there for an hour and 4 minutes waiting on them to interrupt my podcast so that they can get on the phone and tell me, hey, we're calling you about your delivery. I'm sorry, but we're not going to credit your account, though. We're going to escalate it, and then we're going to wait for somebody to get back to you about it. I was like, no, let me just go ahead and do the podcast because you guys are going to be sitting here looking for me. You're going to be sitting here waiting for me. So I want to make sure that I brought it to you today so that you guys could get it somewhat on time. So we started about 7 minutes late, but we do start at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, and I do believe that's 7 o'clock Pacific time. So we have made it religiously habitual to start off at that 10 o'clock time. I think that I changed the time to 10 o'clock on Twitch, but let me know if I didn't, because I know that I moved it down an hour. I might have moved it from 8 to 9. I need to make sure that I move it from 9 to 10 because it's a 2-hour difference from when we was starting, because I mean, most of our fans usually show up at 10 instead of 9 Central Time. So since that's the case, I figure, well, we do like a 10 to 12 for a 2-hour show. and it's almost 11:30 right now Central Time, which is like 12:30 Eastern Time. So kind of wanted to make sure that we stay consistent so that you guys can find us and show up for the show. Because if you're sitting there waiting on us for an hour and we never show up, and then you go find something else to do, and then we air, you miss us and we miss you. So we want to stay consistent. So I appreciate you guys coming to the show to take a look at us, and we want to make sure that you know that we are consistent about our times now, because we had to find a better time slot. Now, you got to remember that we're going to be live 7 days a week. Today is Friday, so tomorrow's Saturday. We're supposed to have the artist that made the song that is going to air after the show. So if you haven't heard it yet, Red Void, I want you to hang out after the show and take a listen to it, because you might actually really like it. I know I did. So I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to take a look at it or observe it as we walk out of the show. We have an intro song that happens also, but you got to kind of be here at the beginning of the show to hear that one. But we have a whole album that came out by this artist, and they're going to be on the show tomorrow. So hopefully, because I haven't gotten confirmation, I got to check the emails today. If they're not here tomorrow, I'm going to try to put them on next week Saturday. That way they have a week in advance notice that we're going to put them on the show. And then we'll be able to talk to the people who made the song, and they use us as inspiration. But the live band atmosphere that they went through to create this, we'll be able to get the insight and pick the brains of Alan and some of the other people that put together these songs, so that we can talk to small business owners, musicians, and everything like that does a fantastic job with promoting the ideals of other individuals through song and music. Because you got to remember that music and TV used to be, back in the day, the way to deliver a message. So nowadays it's just entertainment, but back in the day it was a way to deliver a message. And I think they articulated the message of this podcast very well with these albums. I have links to it in the description of every show. So if you're watching us on Twitch or watching us on Twitter, if you come over to the YouTube channel after the show and look up any one of the live podcasts, and I think now they're starting to go into all of the shorts and long form videos as well, that you just scroll down the description after the explanation of what the show is about. You'll see all of the songs with links to the songs on YouTube, and links to where you can purchase the songs if you want to buy the songs and download them to your music devices. So I just strongly recommend that you guys take a look at that, because I think you'll like it, because I know I do. And they made it. I didn't make this, so I'm not, I'm proud of it because it's mine. Nah, I actually really like it. I was like, whoa. And then I get to listen to it every day now, because I play it before and after my show. At least 2 of them right now. There's 5 songs total. I got 2 of them, one in the beginning and one in the end. And then I'm going to make 2 more coming soon. We're going to alternate between them. So I have to come to the show a little bit earlier and switch out the songs every now and again. But I definitely make sure that at least two out of the 5 songs are playing every day of the week. So if you guys come right when the show airs, you'll be able to hear the opener. And if you're still here after the show wraps itself up, you'll be able to hear the closer. And you'll be able to determine, which ones you like, and be able to let me know in the comment section which version of the songs are your favorite, and which different tracks are your favorite. And, we can kind of talk about that throughout the show. So if you're looking for more dating tips and personal development advice, be sure to check out some of the other videos that we have. We usually do our dating tips and relationship advice and personal development advice Thursday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, we have our members only discussions. And then we have our financial advice and financial opportunities Monday through Wednesday, so that you can find ways to make more money and get more knowledge as to stuff that you can research on to make more money, as well as working on your self improvement throughout the weekend. So we have a little bit of everything that everybody needs. And then we also have a lot of branded content that gets released throughout the month, based on our interactions with other brands that we are encouraged to promote. So I would like for you guys to take a look at all of that stuff when you guys got time. I don't expect you to sit there for days just binge watching us. But I mean, if you decide to, hey, by all means do so. But beyond that, I want to make sure that you guys always have the opportunity to like and subscribe and follow us, and then just keep track of all of the progress that we make, because as time goes forward, we're going to be doing more stuff, and you're going to like a lot more of the stuff that we got going on for you. We also have some membership stores that you guys can take advantage of. Get you some memorabilia, some this and that shirts, coffee cups, mugs, aprons for the wives, you know, throw pillows since they like to throw stuff, towels, everything like that. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and you guys should just take a look at it and see what stuff swings for you. It's cold out right now, so we have this and that hoodies that you guys can rock, and hats and stuff that you guys can wear on top of your hoodie so that you don't have to worry about getting wet. You can mix and match the colors so that they can blend in with one another, or set up your own individual style. So just take a look at some of the stuff that we got going on, because we should be getting a new membership video coming soon. I recorded the stuff. I just haven't edited it yet. You know, so I was trying to enjoy my holiday too, but you know, I work 7 days a week with no days off because, you know, trying to make myself a multimillionaire. You're not going to make yourself a multimillionaire by hanging out and enjoying the holidays. So I try to burn the candle at both ends, but I also take some time to spend some time with my family and talk about things, and try to shoot the breeze and enjoy ourselves, because without that, all of the effort that we put into making ourselves rich is for nothing, because we don't just make ourselves rich for the sake of being rich. We make ourselves rich in order to be able to have rich lives, where we're able to, and rich lives are not having a lot of stuff or having a lot of money. Rich lives is having a lot of good memories with the people that matter to us without having a financial strain of how we're going to make ends meet after we had fun. So knowing that, you got to remember that you're doing all this work so that you can spend time with family. So you want to make sure that you take some time out to spend with family. That way you're able to benefit yourself and your relationship with your family going forward. So with that being said, I want to tell you guys that that's all I have for you guys today. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So please, ladies, make it make sense. And fellas, I really appreciate you guys. One more time, special shout out for Red Void, Omni81, Liberty Twitcher, Silly Emma, Mr. Pibbs, Reese, Max Opposer. We really appreciate you guys for coming to the podcast. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night. And also, just let me know what y'all think about the closing songs.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. just living. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.